Well, howdy out there, all you collector fans. This is Jason, the owner and founder of Motorsports. Don't forget to please like and subscribe. It really does help. And there's also that super likes button. There we go. So I got a little thing for you. Everybody seems to know more about cars than I do. So let's do this. This is a 1970 Superbird. Now, I called this car when I saw it. I was called on it. I was told that it was a true survivor car. And let me tell you, this was one of the hardest cars that I've documented because I don't care what people tell me. It makes no sense what people tell me. It doesn't matter what people tell me. I'll decide for myself. So I'm not going to give you my decision on what I thought about this car. Was it a survivor car or was it not? I want all the so-called profound experts out there to look at these pictures. It's not the easiest situation in the world. These are not the best pictures in the world. These pictures were taken in like 2003 when digital cameras first came out. Everybody here, the people are commenting like they're experts and stuff like that. All right, well, let's make the call. If you're such an expert, tell me about this car. It's a 1970 446 pack Superbird. I was told this car was a complete survivor. Untouched. It was part of this collection. It came out of, I had mentioned it before, a doctor's collection where he prided himself on cars being untouched. So I'm not going to give you my answer on what I think this is an actual survivor car or not. I'm the one that took these pictures. I inspected this car. And it was a tough call. It really was, because the car had all the telltale signs that it was a survivor car. Some things looked off. I mean, I'm not going to give it away. I want everybody that thinks they're an expert or that thinks that they're pretty good at cars, and this would be a good test for you. Because I'll give you the answer at the end, because I was able to prove at the end if it was a survivor car or it wasn't a survivor car or something else had been done to the car. Look at this thing. Paint was perfect. No scratches, no blemishes. The paint was just perfect. And it's going to be like a little hit and miss thing where, you know, I'm going to tell you how I figured out what I figured out. When I was looking at the car, I told the guy, I said, look, this is a really tough call. Is there a garage around here where I can put this thing up on a lift and get a look underneath it? Because I'm not going to try to sell this car as a survivor car unless I can actually 100% figure out if it is a real survivor car. Just because it's coming from this big fancy doctor as a private collection of cars that he collected, I don't care about all that. I'm trying to sell it to somebody else, and it's my butt on the line. So let's get it up on a lift. And I literally made this guy rent out of the garage for a day so I could inspect all these cars. Now look at that. Look at that undercoating. You see that frame part? It's all bent in. A lot of that undercoating is all scraped off in that. Did they undercoat these Superbirds? Sure they did. It kind of depended on what plant they came from, what I understood. Or it mattered if somebody ordered undercoating. You know, it's kind of skeptical on how that went. But, you know, when you take a look underneath this car, look at the oil pan. Look at the cross member. That exhaust has been replaced. That doesn't kill the survivor part of it, but the exhaust has definitely been replaced on it. But the undercoating's good on this car. But again, is this a clone? Is this a tribute car? There's so many things that go along with inspecting these cars. Like, I'm not gonna, this collection, I can't show fender tags and VIN numbers, but I promise you that I looked at this stuff and I did what I needed to do as an inspector to look at these cars, and I ended up selling this car within 24 hours of actually posting the car. But the one thing that I'm pointing to right there is that the number on that block did match the VIN number, the fender tag. Here's what a lot of people don't know about these Superbirds. NASCAR kind of knew what they were doing, and they made sure they were able to protect the NASCAR name. So if you're wondering if you're actually looking at a real Superbird, go to the back of the car. Open up the trunk. So right now you're staring at the front of the car. On the left-hand side, where the weather stripping for the trunk is, on the left-hand side of the weather stripping for the trunk, right about in the middle, there is a hidden NASCAR number. NASCAR number means NASCAR ordered that this number be hidden and put inside the car. If you peel off that weather stripping, you can't see the number by feeling underneath it or looking underneath it, but on the left-hand side of the trunk, when the trunk's open, on the weather stripping, if you peel off that weather stripping right around in the middle, the last 6 digits of the VIN number will be there. You see that, you're looking at a real Superbird. I'm not going to tell you if I saw that or not, but look at this motor. Look at this thing. Actually, I don't think that was a 446 back. I think it was just a 444 barrel car. I can't quite remember if it was or not, but either way, it doesn't look. When you take a look at the engine compartment, look at the valve covers. They're not brand new. They're not clean. Obviously, that windshield washer motor's been. But there's the fender tag right there. I show it. You can see the picture of it. You stop, blow it up for yourself. You can see it's right there. And you're able to see that motor number good enough. Correct battery in it. All the telltale signs are there. But there's so many people in the comments that think they're so much smarter than everybody else, that think they know everything about cars. Well, let's get a true or false. True or false? Is this a real Survivor Superbird? Look at the engine compartment. Look at the valve covers. They're not brand new. Look at the water pump. That's all messed up, all dirty. Hey, but it's up to you guys. You guys decide on what you think. You know, sorry if it seems like I'm being a little bit aggressive, but I shouldn't even let comments get to me on the cars that I've done. But you know what? I did this. You didn't. I'm the one that spent 20 years in the field, in the bush, in the swamps, living in my van, staying away from my family. 2 divorces because of this, because of my love for the passion. And you sit on here and you make comments about, I don't know what I'm talking about and all this. Trust me, I am smarter than you. I know more than you, and I know what I'm doing. I know what I did. You may not like what I got to say, but you know what? It was me that did this. If you don't like it, stay off my channel. I don't really care. With all that said, this was more of a, you know, test yourself. Take a look at this car. Look at that trunk. It's so perfect, so clean, so much nice paint. But it's aged. It's pitted. It's got issues. It's not perfect. So is this a car that was restored a long time ago and it just did some wear? Or is this a truly untouched Survivor car? There's the key point right there, that latch. Just a hint. So, you know, this is one of the biggest things about inspecting these cars, is it's tough to inspect these cars. So I'll give my report at the end of this. But I can tell you right now, it's very, very hard to inspect these cars, because you're walking into a situation where you've never seen this car before and somebody's had this car for a long time. Anything could have been done. Look at the stickers in the trunk. They were peeling. They definitely were not in perfect condition. They were peeling. The trunk latch right there was all scraped up. I mean, if you can see that door latch, the catch latch for the door, it's not brand new. Did somebody go to all the trouble to put an old door latch in to make it authentic? I mean, it's such a tough call. This is where the expertise comes in. Look at that door latch. It's all banged up. There's no overspray paint on that thing. The door sticker is in perfect condition. It hasn't been painted around. So it's really a tough call for somebody like me to inspect. Now, one of the things you look at is the gas pedal, the brake pedal, and the emergency brake pedal. That gas pedal, if it's never been touched, it's going to be worn out. The metal behind it that's holding the gas pedal is going to have a little bit of rust on it, or a little bit of bang and tear from pushing the gas pedal. Like, this was a supposedly a low mileage Superbird. So, you know, you got to keep that in consideration as well. There seem to be a lot of wear and tear on that driver's seat, which is the most used seat. Should be something, but then again, this car had less than 30,000 original miles on it, as reported. So, you know, the car was well taken care of, well maintained. That carpet's not new. Look at it. It's dirty. It's stained out. The steering wheel's got wear and tear on it. I can't see that odometer, but if I remember right, when I inspected the car, it had less than 30,000 original miles on it, which isn't a lot. I mean, somebody could put that on the car in a year, no problem. Back seat's nice and clean. You're going to see on my channel that I had actually done a video about this car before, but it only got a couple hundred views, when I think this car deserved more, because there's a lot can be learned from here, especially for people in the future if they're going to inspect a car, the kind of things to look for. I mean, like the door ledge and stuff, the door jamb right there, it's not scuffed up, and is it scuffed up enough to be a car that was used a lot? You know, it's such a tough call to look at these cars and decide and figure out if they're actually untouched survivors. Untouched survivors means original paint, original motor, transmission, rear end. Car's never been taken apart. Car's never been repainted. So what is the final decision on this car after inspecting it? You know, this was coming from a really prominent collection. You know, and I don't want to give a bad assessment on the car if I'm wrong and, you know, the car is an actual survivor. But at the end of the day, after inspecting this car for many hours, look at that door striker. It's all worn out. Did somebody go to the trouble to put a worn out door striker in just to make it look original? Look at that side. of the door striker right there. Do you do that? Well, I mean, when you start doing that kind of stuff, it's hard to do. So at the end of the day, this car was a survivor, but unfortunately it had been repainted. And you would have caught that if you would have looked at the pictures closer. Thanks for coming by.